another episode of Once Upon a Pixel. I'm your host, Ashley Davis, and tonight we will be reading excerpts from one of the great Worlds of Power novels, Metal Gear. Let's start, shall we? Chapter 1. The Mission. Justin Haley strode purposely through the underground hallways of Foxhound Command. At age 20, he was the youngest captain ever to serve in the U.S. Marines Special Forces Anti-Terrorist Squad, known as the Snake Men. "Solid Snake, we have a special mission for you," Commander South told Haley, who stood straight and tall before him at attention, his dark blue eyes front. "Have you ever heard of Dr. Ivan Petovich?" Dr. Petovich, the astrophysicist and nuclear scientist who defected to our side from the Soviet Union 6 years ago? Yes, sir. That's the man. 8 months ago, he was kidnapped, and he seemed to have disappeared off the face of the earth. Now we're fairly certain that he is alive and hidden in the secret base of Colonel Vermin Katafi's, a base called Outer Heaven. Haley's eyelids flickered. He did not speak, but his pulse raced with excitement. Colonel Vermin McTaffy, the single most feared terrorist on the planet, a psychopath bent on dominating the world. His nature so cruel as to verge on insanity. "We want you to go in alone," continued Commander South, armed with nothing more than a compass. "Yes, sir!" Chapter 3. Getting In. His nose wrinkled. Solid Snake recognized that smell. Panther musk. It might be a useful weapon. Rubbing himself against the jungle plants, Haley let the heavy, musky cat smell seep deep into his suit of camos. Now he smelled exactly like a jungle killer. Justin stood up carefully, looking in every direction. As he did, the jungle silence was broken by a sudden ear-splitting chorus of snarls and growls. Throwing himself to the ground, Haley raised himself on all fours like a giant cat, bracing himself as the dogs came closer. Drawing his upper lip back, Haley spat and meowed like a furious giant cat. They skidded to a halt, yelping, then turned tail and rushed away. Chapter 9. The Escape. Solid Snake left Gray Fox lying on the floor of the room. Without even knowing which level he was on, or in what building, he resumed his search, still looking for a weapon and clues to Metal Gear. In the next room, which was a supply depot, a huge man whom Haley recognized from his criminal file as the Shotgunner was keeping watch over a large cache of weapons. If there was ever one big, ugly monster, it was the Shotgunner. He was armed to the teeth, ready to kill, and he loved his job. Using the oldest trick in the book, the ventriloquist skill of throwing his voice in another direction, Solid Snake made a small sound come from the opposite side of the room. There wasn't a second to spare. He whirled around and swung his new gun like a baseball bat, letting the Shotgunner have it on the side of his head. Chapter 14. The Trained Killer Scorpions. Chapter 17. Metal Gear. Then, after turning a corner, he came face to face, for the first time, with Metal Gear. As soon as he saw it, Haley recognized it. Nothing that huge and ugly could be anything else than Metal Gear. Part of the machine was outfitted with a keyboard and a printer, so Solid Snake knew at once that what he'd suspected about Metal Gear was true. It was computer-controlled. Standing by the weapon's side, leaning over the instrument panel, were two men. One of them, wearing an elaborate uniform complete with medals and decorations, was none other than Colonel Vermin Katafi. The destruction of the free world had begun. As the Marine captain raced into the booth, with only seconds to spare before detonation, Colonel Katafi raised his pistol and fired. He fell forward into the computer control panel, his hand outstretched. He saw the seconds move. 4, 3, 2. Solid Snake's hand reached the white button and pushed. The time clock stopped, the countdown reaching 1 millisecond. With a beast snarl of psychotic rage, Colonel Vermin Katafi threw himself at Justin Haley. Solid Snake was younger and stronger than the dictator, but he was wounded and losing blood. He reckoned that his fight with Katafi would be his last. Colonel Katafi made a dive for the floor, going after his pistol. Solid Snake saw the action and kicked out with the last remaining bit of strength in his wounded body. The kick caught the side of Katafi's head and knocked him out. "Haley!" cried an astonished voice. "It's me, Commander South. I'm here with the Foxhound Command troops and the rest of the Snakebin squad. We've got Outer Heaven completely surrounded. Now let's get you out of here and into sickbay. You can tell me all about it when you're feeling better." "But what about Katafi, sir? He's out cold, sir, lying right—" Solid Snake broke off, mystified. Katafi was not there. In the doorway, Haley turned. "Wait for me, Katafi. You belong to me, and soon I'll be coming back to collect." He spoke very softly, but somehow Solid Snake knew in his heart that, hidden away somewhere, Colonel Cataffy heard his words. Solid Snake broke off